I'm the operations manager here at OFA. So anything that you guys, when you reserve a loan, when you submit it, all of that comes through the homeownership department. So today's presentation is going to be on using Lender Online, how you submit things to us. I'm sure I don't know that I'll be able to cover everything, but I'm going to try. So if you have questions, since there's so many people on the line, just to keep the background noise down, I'm going to leave the call on mute. So if you have questions, just if you want to write them down, if you want to write them into the question box, into the chat box, or raise your hand, I will make sure that I get to everybody at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and get going because this could take the whole hour and a half, just depending on what questions are. All right, so first of all, just to let you know what Lender Online, what the things that you can do in Lender Online. You can make a reservation, you can check the availability of the MCC funds, you can look at the loan status, you can run reports. If you're an admin, every lender, when they sign up with us, tells us who they want their admin to be to add users, delete users, that kind of thing from Lender Online. So we designate somebody as an admin. You can designate whoever you want to be your admin. So if you're the admin and you want to add somebody so that they can do that also, you can do that yourselves. We do tend to leave it up to lenders to add people, give people access to Lender Online, because some lenders are very particular about who gets it and some are not as particular. But there's different levels of access you can get also, depending on what it is that you're going to be doing within the system. So we really kind of leave that up to the lender to determine who they're going to grant access to and the type of access they're going to grant. We have a bulletin board, which I'll show you, and it just if we send out an email blast, it'll go on the bulletin board. You'll be able to find it out there. Program documents really where you can find things like our term sheets or anything that has to do with the program itself. And then there's also servicer docs out there. Like if U.S. Bank sends out a memo or something like that, since they service all our loans, we'll usually put it on the bulletin board, but it'll also be on servicer docs so that when we get a chance to clean up the bulletin board, it comes off of there eventually. And we've been really busy, so it's not so cleaned up right now. So to get to Lender Online, you can go to our main website, ohiohome.org, which looks a little different right now than this picture does. Sorry about that. We have updated our website, but it's basically the same procedure for getting to Lender Online. You go to the main web page and you scroll to the bottom and you'll see a link that says Lender Online. Okay, and then it'll bring you to a login screen. And you're going to log in using your assigned login name and password that your admin gave you. We do accept reservations from 9:45 in the morning to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Standard Time, except for holidays. So if you happen to if you want to reserve something and you log in at 9:40 in the morning, it's going to say that there are no programs available, and that's because you need to wait till 9:45. Once you hit 9:45, they'll all be available to you. And, we just ask you that you be prepared with the information you need to enter, because it will time you out after about 20 minutes, and then you're going to lose everything, and you're going to be pretty frustrated because you have to do it all over again. Something else to note is if you go to make a reservation and that borrower has had a loan with us before, or even if they didn't go through with it, but they're reserved in our system, the system's going to match them up. And it's going to tell you that there's an existing reservation out there and you can't reserve it. If you get that, please, before you get out of there, print that screen or copy that screen, because if someone has been in our system before, we have to reserve it for you, which we don't really, it's kind of a pain for everybody, but it keeps us from having duplicate reservations and allowing lenders to cancel loans to re-reserve them again. It kind of forces everyone to give us a call so that we can adjust the reservation that's in the system, or make sure that it's an old one and we can do a new reservation and they're really not duplicates. So if you get that when you're trying to reserve it, just print that out or save it as a screen print and email it to us and say, hey, I need somebody to reserve this, what's going on with it? And we'll let you know if it's already reserved with another lender or it's just an old loan that they had. There could be could be a loan from 15 years ago that's in there that they had. So just to save a little frustration on your part of having to go in there and go back. And then we'll reserve it for you and send confirmation. Okay, so I'm going to, instead of using this PowerPoint, I'm actually going to go into Lender Online. So give me a second here while I switch screens. Bring this over. I just think it's better to actually do a practical application. So this is our test website where they allow me to practice. But it's going to look exactly like this on the live screen. So you're going to, once you get to the icon, it's going to bring you to a login screen. So you are going to have to log in. And then this is what's going to come up. Your screen's going to look a little different because you're only going to see yourself. You're not going to be able to see other lenders. You're not going to have the admin tab. You're not going to have their pre-qualification tab. Those are things that part of it is what I have and part of it are just in our test website. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you make a reservation is you're going to want to come over here and click New Reservation. And you're going to see that you have some options here. You have Next Home is our next home loan for people who do not qualify as a first-time home buyer. Single-family market rate, you'll probably see this change very soon, maybe as soon as tomorrow. And I don't know why it's called single-family market rate. That was something that was here when I came here, but it's really the first-time home buyer program. So in order to make it make a little more sense, we're going to change this title from single-family market rate to first-time home buyer. So you should see that change very soon. And I think that makes it, we have a lot of people reserve loans under the wrong program. I think mostly because it doesn't make sense. And then if you're trying to reserve under our mortgage credit certificate, or as we call it, the mortgage tax credit program, you have, and again, I'm going to change these titles too. The one that says 2015-16 MTC program is our basic, which is your own loan as a lender with just the MTC layered on top of it. And then the market rate with MCC Plus would be our first and second mortgage with the mortgage tax credit layered on top of it. So hopefully you'll see this change real soon to make these make sense, but reservation is the same. So once you click on determine which one you want to reserve for, you're going to click on the plus sign, and you're going to have all the options available to you to decide which one you want to reserve. So you've got, we do 2.5% or 5% down payment assistance, or we do unassisted. So once you know what the program is that you want, you just click on it, double click on it, and it will take you to the reservation screen. And the reservation screen is going to look the same for all of them. So I'm just going to pick one. And here's the reservation screen. It's basically kind of a fill in the blank kind of thing. Anything that has a red asterisk on it, you're going to want to complete. And this probably will change. These rates are not accurate. I don't know when we loaded these. This is a test website, so we loaded these a while ago. But you will probably at some point see this change too, the reservation screen, just to give you a heads up, because they are coming out with a new version of this. Not sure when. We were supposed to have a first quarter, and obviously we don't. So once they do, it's going to be more of a, we're only going to need on there what the information is that we need, not necessarily all of this other stuff. So we're going to be able to design it a little bit better. So you're just going to complete what needs to be completed, what's asked for on here. And I'm just going to make somebody up. And I'm going to make up a Social Security number, I hope. And if you put in the person's date of birth, it should complete the age for you. Marital status, we'll make you married. And then we'll give them a nice credit score. So current address. Phone number. And if you put in their business number too, even though that's not asterisk, we'd appreciate that. And then if they have a co-borrower, you just check that there's a co-borrower. And we're going to give her a higher credit score. Okay, so the purchase price, and you'll notice the purchase price will also fill in when you enter that. It'll also complete the acquisition cost. So if you've got a loan that has a different acquisition cost than a purchase price, you're going to want to change it there, but otherwise it'll fill it in itself. The appraised value, you may not know yet. We're going to say this is existing. Your build, even though it's not on there, even though it's not asterisk, it's kind of helpful for us. Okay, so this person's going to live here in our building. And you'll notice as you start to complete some of these things that you get the drop-down completes itself, and you can always finish it out that way. And then you need to enter the census tract. So if you don't know what the census tract is, you can always click this button to find it, and it will transfer you over to this website where if you leave the screen in this small version, you just have to scroll down, which I don't like, but it's not my website, so type in the address. Oh my gosh, I can type. Hit search, and there you have, you get your census tract. It's 40 there. It tells you, gives you a little demographic information there, county code, things like that. So you can come back out here and you can put in here that it's 40. And then you're going to, it's asking you if it's target or non-target. If you have, if you don't know, you can look it up. But if you do put in the wrong one, it will take you to, it'll tell you when you go to reserve it that that's the wrong one. It'll say you said it's targeted and it's non-targeted, and then you just need to go in and switch it. But I want to show you real quick, if you, on our website, this is what our new website looks like, our new website design, which is much more user-friendly than the old one. If you go to our partners, then lenders, you see that there's a button here for the target area search. And if you scroll down and put the address in, and then hit submit, it'll take you back up to the top of the page for whatever reason. I've asked them to fix this, and obviously that hasn't been done yet. And then you scroll down, it'll tell you that it is in a target area, or it'll say that it's not. So our address happens to be in a target area because we're in downtown Columbus. So let me move this over. And I'm going to say it's target. And I have a question here. How are loan amount, purchase price changes handled, or property type such as PUD? I'm sorry. If you have that's a good question. If you have a purchase, once you make the reservation, there's no changes that you are able to make yourself. You can do one of two things. You can email us and say, hey, there's been a purchase price change, this is what it is. Or the easiest thing really to do is when you submit that loan to us for approval, you can make the changes on the documents then, and just make sure you submit it with the correct purchase price and all of that, and we'll get the changes in once we review the file. We'll make those changes. So either way works, but you can always, if it's easier for you, you can just make the changes when you submit the loan, and we'll make the changes in the system as we review it. And also to determine if you want to say that there's a PUD, I think that is an option down here. Yeah, PUD is a housing type option. So these are your options for the housing types down here. And this is just number of units. Okay, I see a lot of questions, so I will get your excuse me, I will get your questions as we go. Somebody has in here, I thought the LO was reserved the loan because the processors don't know the program. It depends on, as far as who reserves the loan, every lender does it differently. So if your loan officers do it, then you as processors obviously don't need to know this part of it, but a lot of times processors reserve it or off staff reserve it, so it just varies from lender to lender who does it. That's up to you guys how you want to do it. Okay, so borrower wages, we're just going to make this up. Oh, he doesn't make $250,000. He does, he's probably over income. And then co-borrower wages, we'll say, are the same. And you notice I put in an annual amount. If you put in a monthly amount, that's okay too. We'll make that correction. We'll say their household size is 3. And then if you have, when you get down to, and we'll say they have not had prior ownership. If they have, you just put yes in the drop down. If you have, we don't have anybody listed on, this is an OFA, this is our login. So if you have loan officers listed, you can pick them from the drop box right here. If you don't, you can just put them, you can just type it in. It does make you put in the NMLS, which is probably something we're not going to have you do when we get to change that ourselves. And then you just hit submit, and hopefully this will work. And then it brings you to this screen that says it was accepted. It gives you our reservation number, and it gives you the option to print the reservation. So you just click here, and it gives you the reservation. Okay. If something changes along the line, we get a lot of requests for change of products or to add something or something like that. I'll show you where you can go once we've made those changes to print this exact same reservation screen out. Or if you forget to print it, I'm going to show you where to go to do that. So once you've reserved the loan, now you're going to work in it. So the next tab you want to go to when you come back in to find this loan is loan status. So there's a number of ways that you can look up a loan to isolate it, because you'll notice if you have a lot of loans that you've done with OFA, you're going to get a whole list of them. And if you want to isolate the loan you're looking for, there's a couple of things you can do. You can put in our reservation number, which is listed here and is also on the reservation sheet that you got. But most of the time you're probably not going to know that. It's probably going to be easier for you to look up by the borrower's name and Social Security or Social Security, the co-borrower's name. And then there was an option also where I did not show you, but on the reservation page, on the right-hand side, there's an option at the top for you to put in your own loan number. And if you put in your own loan number, you just click on lender loan number, enter your loan number, and it will pull that loan up for you and isolate it. So I'm going to work with one of these loans that I know has in it what I want. So I'm going to use our loan number just to isolate it, and I'll show you how it does that. So once you know what the loan is, you can pull that up and just work with that loan. So here's a couple of things that you can see under the Action tab. You have View, you have Reprint, you have PDF Docs and eDocs, and then Delete, but please don't delete. You have you'll have our reservation number. If you entered your loan number, it'll be listed here. You'll have the borrower's name and the last 4 digits of their social, co-borrower, last 4 digits of their social, what stage it's in, what status it's in, the date that it's in that status, and if we've done anything with it, you'll have whoever the initials or the login of whoever did something with it. And I apologize, my allergies are getting to me today, so I'm trying really hard not to sniffle through this whole thing. So let me just show you what you're going to see in each of these action tabs. If you go to View, you're going to just kind of see a summary of what's going on with the loan, just a real quick summary. If you want to cancel the reservation, You can do that up until the time that you submit a commitment package to us. So if you haven't submitted anything and you want to cancel it, you come into the view screen and you just hit cancel loan. If for some reason you'd only want to cancel the second mortgage, which most people don't, you'd hit cancel second mortgage only. I don't know why you would do that, honestly, at this point, because if you don't have a second mortgage, then you have different pricing, and we would need to change that for you. So really, probably don't use that button. Use the cancel loan if you're going to cancel it prior to submitting the loan to us. But you can see it just gives you general information, when it was registered, who the loan numbers, who you are, you know, your lender name, things like that, which program it is. So you want to make sure you know what program, that you reserved it on the correct program. Information about the second mortgage, the property address. Here's kind of a running stage and status. For us, a stage is like reservation. That's one stage. Commitment received. That's another stage. So you can just kind of see how it flows through the our process. And then down here in the bottom left-hand side, you'll see HFA's conditions and exceptions. So we're the HFA, we're the Housing Finance Agency. We're the HFA. So once we review the loan, if we have any conditions, there's anything that we need, you're going to find them listed here. Whatever we put in our system as a condition, it's going to be listed here. Once the loan is reviewed, at every step along the way, I require that you get an email. So you'll see down the line, you'll see that there's a voucher, and make sure that when you submit a loan that on that voucher you tell us who to contact, because that contact person will receive an email from us that says, hey, I've reviewed your loan, you know, and this is what I need, or it's approved, or whatever it is. Some of the reviewers will give you a list in the email of what the conditions are, and some of them will just tell you, hey, it's out there, go check on Lender Online and see what I need. This is where you're going to go to see what you need. It's going to list out what we call the conditions or exceptions. Once it goes to U.S. Bank, after it closes, you'll also see underneath this box, it's going to say Master Servicer Conditions. So and exceptions. So you will see what U.S. Bank is waiting on when it's a post-closing thing, and you will also see what we're waiting on. Now, when we approve a loan, we will always approve it in our system as what we call incomplete. And it's incomplete only because it's missing, it doesn't have signed docs, because we prepare the commitment package for you. So we will always have conditions for you to sign the commitment package, and if it's an assisted loan, we're always going to condition you for a HUD-1 for the second mortgage, just as a reminder. So if you're a processor on the call and you're submitting for for the first time for commitment approval, this is where you're going to find your exceptions. If you're a closer, when you're working on the closing package, you want to come here and look at this screen to see what it is that we're expecting to come in with that purchase package post-closing, so that you can make sure that it gets to closing and gets done. And if you're a post-closer, you're going to want to look here to see what it is that we're expecting to come in with that purchase package also. So hopefully that's explained, but if you do have questions, again, please ask, and I will answer those at the end. You'll notice, too, on this screen that you have the different icons that you had on the front screen. So we can just work from here. If you hit the reprint screen, either here or on that first screen, this is where you're going to be able to reprint that reservation. And a lot of times it happens all day, every day, that somebody wants to either, I meant to reserve it as this and I didn't, I reserved it as that, or they want now 5% down instead of 2.5%, or I want to add the mortgage tax credit program. Whatever it is, there's a lot of changes that we make, and once we make those changes, you'll be able to come out here and print this reservation again, just so you can see all the updates. PDF docs is a screen that you're going to use a lot, so we're going to go ahead and go there. And you're going to see there's a couple things on here that I've added just to show you, but they're not out there yet, and you wouldn't see them on your screen. The GFE is something that we generate and we send to the borrower. So this should not be something that you see on the screen, and I'm not sure if you do or not, but it's not something you need to worry about. You will see once the loan is approved, once we've approved it, you will have a commitment letter out here. This commitment letter will not be available until we have approved the loan. And this loan is in an approved status. It's just one that I have used as a practice to show you. So, but the first thing you're going to do, you'll see the note and mortgage out here. You'll see the purchase package out here. But that's really all you're going to see is when you initially come in to submit the loan to us for commitment approval, you're going to see the commitment document checklist and voucher. You're going to see the note and mortgage, and you'll see the purchase package. And what I've got here at these other purchase packages are what you're going to see soon. So I just kind of wanted to show you that while I have you. But again, the commitment letter will not be there until the loan is in an approved status, and it will obviously not be in an approved status before you submit it to us. So let's just click on the commitment checklist and voucher. Whoops. You check the box and then hit Generate Docs, and then just click on it. So we have populated the documents with as much information as we can. It's a PDF doc, so there's only certain information that it'll allow it to pull over, that there's fields for it to pull over, but we have populated as much as we possibly can for you, just so it's not something that you have to worry about doing. But any of these fields can be changed. You can change anything in here. Okay, so here's the checklist. It just tells you what we need. You can go through and you can check it as you gather it. But we need, as you can see, we need a voucher, which is below, and we'll get to that in a second. This is a conventional loan, so we've asked for a 1003. We want a 1008. We want 2 most recent pay stubs or a written VOE and 1 recent pay stub. We're asking for 3 years federal tax returns, signed and dated if the borrower prepared them, or we'll take IRS transcripts. We want a fully executed purchase contract. If it's a grants for grads loan, we'll ask for a copy of the diploma or transcript, something that tells us the borrower's graduation date and what their degree was, the level of their degree, because it has to be at least an associate's to qualify for grants for grads. And the Ohio Heroes, whatever eligibility documentation we need for that. So as you can see, hopefully you have most of the documentation that we need within 25 days of reservation, because we do ask that these commitment packages be sent to us within 25 days of reservation. We're hedging these loans and don't want to keep hedging for loans that we're never going to receive. So you should hear from us, somebody in your organization, depending on maybe who reserved it or who we work with all the time. If we don't have this loan by day 25, you should hear from us saying, hey, you know, we reserved this loan. It's been X number of days. We try to send it out at day 18 just to give you some leeway so you know it's coming and we're looking for it. You reserved this loan. We haven't received the commitment package. If we don't receive it by X date or we don't hear from you, we're going to assume that this reservation needs to be canceled, and it will be canceled on such and such a date. So please respond to us. Preferably upload the package because, again, as you can see, probably most of these things you have. I don't need your underwriter to approve it. We don't need, you know, it doesn't have to go through that whole process because we're looking for different things than you're looking for. We're looking for to see that the borrower's income doesn't exceed our income guidelines, that the purchase price doesn't exceed our purchase guidelines, that the borrower is either a first-time home buyer or not, depending on what program it's in, that they meet our DTI, our credit score requirements, that kind of thing. So we're not looking to see that this borrower actually qualifies for the first mortgage. We rely on you to do that. We're just making sure that they meet our guidelines for our program. So the sooner you can get it to us, the better. We are, as you guys are, we are slammed busy right now, and we probably every single day have about 400 loans in our queue to review. So we're just reviewing them as we receive them, just to try to be fair to everybody, because every single one of them is a purchase. So we're not, I mean, a couple months ago, probably 3 or 4 at this point, we stopped taking rush requests because everything is a rush and everything has a reason, and I know that, I know everybody's trying to close their loans, so try to be fair to everybody. We're just taking them as we come, so the earlier you can get them to us, the better. Okay, so there's my little spiel. Then the voucher, basically, again, completed by how the loan was reserved. So if you have that purchase price change, you can just make the change here. About 105, yeah. You can just make the change here. You can make the change in loan amount. I don't know what 97% of that is, but I'm just going to make it up. You can make any of those changes here, okay? The thing that I want to point out, and please complete anything that isn't completed on here, please complete it. We need all this information. If we don't get it, we're going to, with the exception of the contract expiration, I don't really care about that, and as soon as I have the opportunity for somebody to rework this sheet for me, I'll have that taken out. But anything else that's on here, we need this information, and we will condition for if we don't get it. So if you just kind of want to try to get it to us as completed as possible, that would be great. One thing I do want to point out, though, is you'll see that there's an upload button here. If you do, and that upload button allows it to automatically upload to the system, upload to eDocs. But if you make changes, like let's say something does happen where the loan amount changes or the purchase price changes or something like that, please don't use that upload button if you're making changes to the pre-populated data, because what happens is as soon as it makes the transfer from here into eDocs, it runs it through the system, it runs it through our back-end system, and it changes everything back to what's in the back-end system. It's not a huge deal, I guess, because we'll make those changes anyway, but anything that you have, any changes you've made, if you've made them to the pre-populated areas, you just need to save this and then attach it when you upload it, as opposed to using this upload button. I kind of want to point out, too, here's your contact information. A lot of times we get this not completed, so we don't know who to contact to tell them that we've reviewed the loan. So we just kind of move on and hope that you check Lender Online periodically to see where it is. But if you have contact information in there, we will contact you every step of the way. Okay, so you can either, as I said, you can hit this upload button when you're finished, or you can just save it and send it in an attachment. So if you do hit the upload button, you're going to see that it says that the submission was successful, which is kind of a little bit of a, that's a little bit, it was uploaded, it wasn't necessarily submitted. So we'll get to that in a second. Let me go back here. Okay, so to move around in the system, so we're going to assume that we've sent that checklist and voucher. It should be sent. You'll see it in a second. So to move around, you can use the back button, but you'll notice it'll give you this warning that your web page has expired. So you just need to refresh. This is some sort of security thing that the vendor has, that they got some kind of audit, so they will not take that out. You're just going to have to keep hitting refresh and go back. Either that, or you can just click on the loan status button and it'll bring you back here. But then you got to go back and look up your loan, or you can keep doing the back thing. So we're going to come back to this one. Let me isolate this one again. Okay, so when you are ready to send us documents, when you're ready with that list of documents, you got it together. In order to submit it to us, we want you to submit everything electronically. You go to the eDocs. Okay, and you'll notice that there's 4 quadrants here. We have the commitment package, we have the purchase package, we have the counseling cert, and then we have things that we use over here. Usually after closing, we'll upload things over there. Borrowers are required to do homebuyer counseling on all of our programs except for the MTC Basic. Probably 9 times out of 10, you're going to see that the counseling has been done before you even submit the loan to us, and you will have access to it. It'll be loaded down here. The cert will be there, and you'll also see the test and the budget that they did. But what I want to caution you on is to make sure that you are uploading to the proper site, to the proper, on the proper section. If you're submitting to us for the first time and it's the commitment, it's pre-closing, it's considered a commitment. So you want to make sure that you upload here. If you upload on the purchase side, it's going to be looked at as a purchase. And just a little background on how our system works. Some of you may have experienced this lately. If you come in here and you add something, so let's say you're going to submit to us for the first time. You'll see the GFE is here. Every once in a while we get a file before we issue a GFE. We will issue a GFE typically the day after the reservation is made, but definitely within 3 business days. But if you reserve it and you upload your docs the same day, you're not going to see the GFE in there yet because we probably won't even get to it till the next day. But you will. This is where the GFE will be. So when you want to submit something new to us, and you can see, well, you can't. Yeah, there it is. This is the conventional commitment document checklist and voucher we just did. I know it's a little confusing because I use this a lot, this file a lot. But you can see it was modified on 9/14, so today. But you can also see that it's never been submitted. Over here in this this section will tell you when the loan was submitted. So until you hit the submit button, which is right here, we don't know what's out there. It's there, but we don't know it. It doesn't register in our system as having received anything. If we come into Lender Online from our back-end system, we don't see it because it was never submitted. And the system just allows you to keep piling and keep uploading things until you're ready to submit them to us. So in order to add a document, it's very easy. If you wanted to scan your package in, you're just going to click Add New. Just make sure you're in the right quadrant. Click here. Go out there and find something, and I'm just going to pick something out of here. Go out there and find something. Okay. You can either pull the drop down, and there's different names over here you can pull it from, or you can name it you can give it your own name, and you can also make comments in here. You know, if you wanted to say borrower will, let's see, will provide, oh my gosh, tax returns ASAP. Oh my gosh. Whatever you want to say, whatever you want us to know, you can hit that comment button. And then you just click Save. And it'll bring you back to the eDocs page. And you'll see that it's there, but it is not submitted to us. In order to submit it so that we can see it, you're going to have to submit this. You're going to have to hit this Submit button. And on the, and you'll get notification here in a second that it says, hey, we're okay. I'm in it, so that's why it's not letting me do it. But you will get something. And if you get this, then please contact us. But this is just in the test website. You normally get something that says that your package has been received by the agency. And you will see over here that you have an initial submitted date and time. Once this column is filled up, then you know that we've received it. One thing I do want to tell you is that if you, let's say for instance you submit something to us and you didn't have, you know, a year's tax returns or something like that, or you're waiting on a VOE and you get it the next day and you want to send that to us so we have a complete file. The only time I will tell you not to hit that submit button is if you have submitted the original, you have submitted an initial package and we haven't reviewed it yet. Especially with our review times right now, as busy as we are, don't hit that submit button if you're coming in the next day. If you're coming in any day at any time after that day that you submitted the original package. If you come back that afternoon, you submitted something for the first time this morning, and you come back this afternoon and you have this afternoon, hit the submit button. And the reason I'm saying that is because every time you submit something, it changes the date. So if you submitted something to, if you initially submitted this loan last week, and then this week you get the follow-up documentation and we haven't reviewed that loan yet, as soon as you hit submit, it's going to change the date to today. So when we would have reviewed it with the files that we're reviewing last week, we'll now think that our reports are going to show that today's the date that you submitted it. So we're going to, it'll move it in line. And again, the only time I'm going to tell you not to hit submit is in that circumstance where you've initially submitted the file and we haven't yet reviewed it. And that goes the same on the purchase side. We will find it out there. We can find it out there when we review the file, but you don't want to change your date. If you happen to do it, just send me an email and I'll figure it out for you. But if you can just avoid doing that, please do. But when you submit conditions, when you upload conditions, you're going to do the same process and remember to hit submit. Otherwise, we do not know it's there. We will review conditions the next business day. So if you send us something today, you should hear back from us on those conditions at some point tomorrow during the day. If you don't, contact us. It's possible that you didn't hit the submit button and we didn't get it. The other thing is on the real website, on the live website, if you try to leave this page and you've got something uploaded but it's not submitted, you're going to get a pop-up that says, are you sure you want to leave? You did not submit this, so the agency doesn't have it. And every single day somebody says, okay, yeah, I'm going to leave, because they don't read it. It's just a pop-up. They don't read it, so they leave, and then their stuff doesn't get submitted, and we don't know that it's there. So just wanted to tell you that. So if you're in post-closing and you want to submit a purchase package to us, it's the same process as far as hitting add new, submit. Just be careful that you're putting it in the same section, in the same quadrant. We have lenders who will submit conditions to us on the commitment side, but they upload it on the purchase side. So our files say you received a purchase package instead of conditions. So instead of looking at those the next day like we normally would have, we put it in line with the purchases to be reviewed that we received on that day, so they don't get reviewed the next day. So just kind of be careful what you're doing there. Okay, so that is submitting to eDocs. Once the loan, let me go back. Once the loan, I want to point out too, once the loan is approved, you'll have that commitment letter, and I'll show you that in a second, but before we move off this page, we are also going to prepare for you what we call commitment package documents, which are, I don't know if this is a for real one, so let me see. Okay, it is. So these are documents that the borrower has to sign. It verifies the purchase price, it verifies their income, it says how we came up with it, and you know, just the different. It's the application for the second mortgage. There's a seller affidavit in here, the notice of recapture if it's a government loan. And I know this doesn't make sense because it's a conventional loan, but I just am pulling packages. So anything that the borrower needs to sign at closing for the commitment side. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't do anything for the purchase side, but for the commitment side, we have prepared that package. And the reason that we did that is we spent a lot of time going back and forth with lenders who were trying to prepare it and weren't preparing it correctly and all that stuff, and just said, okay, it's, you know, before I got to OFA, I was on the mortgage lending side for 30 years. And used OFA's program a lot, and when, you know, they come back to me and say, well, you didn't prepare this document correctly, and I think, you know what, then just prepare it. Just tell me what you wanted to say, and I'll put it in there, and I'll get the borrower to sign it. So we're doing that now. So this is where you're going to find it. When you see that condition for closing that says that the borrower is to sign the commitment package documents, this is where you're going to find them. And we tried to make it stand out a little bit as much as we could by putting an asterisk in the beginning of it and then saying to be signed at closing, so that you know you can come and pull this. You do have to give it a second to upload so that it's a PDF doc. It's not coming straight out of our system. It's a PDF doc that's populating. So make sure you give it a second to be able to populate the information before you print it, because if you just come in and think you're going to print it, it's going to come out blank. So you can see it doesn't take long, but just give it a second to populate. Okay. So pretty much that's going to be it from a commitment standpoint, which would be, let me see if I can get back to where I want to go. Come on. No. Okay. Let me just change screens here real quick. Okay, so coming back to the PDF screen, you'll see the commitment letter. Once the loan's approved, you'll have the commitment letter and you'll have that commitment package out there. And you will not get the commitment letter. The package will be out there before the letter's out there, because they prepare that, and then the actual approval has to go through another staff member just as an auditing purpose to actually enter the approval in the system, which would be why also that you receive an email from the reviewer that says, I've reviewed your file and it's approved, and it may be, it could be a couple hours before you see that approval. Probably not a couple hours, but it could be there's some lag time there between when you might see the approval in the system, then when you get notified that there's an approval, because there is a support staff member in between who needs to verify the information that's being approved and then enter the approval date. And once the approval date is entered, you'll be able to find the commitment approval letter. So here's where the commitment approval letter comes into play for everybody. So if you're processing the loan, you can see how we have approved the loan. If you're closing the loan, the commitment letter tells you how we approved it. Okay, so you can see that the borrower is listed in our system as William Williams and Jane Williams, and here's their address, and here's their loan amount, and the purchase price, and the interest rate, and all of that is how we approve this loan. And why that's important, besides the obvious, is that once the loan's approved, we don't require that you come back to us to make changes. So let's say that the borrower wanted to add a middle name or a middle initial or something like that. And just an FYI for the closers, when you come out here and you see, or for anybody actually, our system's a little weird. So if let's say that this borrower's name was William Joseph Williams, and that's how he wanted all his docs to read, and that's how he wanted to close, I can put that in our system, and I can say that's what it wants to be. But when the docs come out, unless we change them, it's going to say William J. Williams. It will not print the full middle name. It'll only put the middle initial. So what we have to do when we're preparing the commitment docs is we have to make those changes on the commitment docs, and then we have to save them, and we have to upload them to you that way. And if you're closing the loan, you will need to do the same thing. So the reason that I'm pointing this out is because we don't require that you submit things back to us prior to closing when there are changes that are made. Now, I will caution you to say that if there is, it's not often, but there are times that there is the purchase price increases. If that's the case, the only concern that I would have in the purchase price increasing for the most part would be if that also increases the DTI and it causes the DTI to go over our over our limits. If it doesn't, like I had one yesterday, somebody contacted me about, and the income went, the purchase price went up like $2,000 or something like that, and the borrower was at a 29% DTI. So if that was the only change that was going to be made, it wasn't going to affect whether this borrower was eligible or not. So if it's not a situation like that, then there's no reason to send it back to us, and you guys can make those changes at closing, and that's what I'm going to get into so that you know how we approved it, okay, is on this commitment letter. Okay. So as a closer, when you come in here to do the closing package, you're going to, we ask that you use our documents. We no longer give out our documents to lenders to put on your own computer system, on your own operating system, because as we change the documents, we found that they don't get changed, that lenders don't change them. So I'm trying to make it even easier for you to come out here and do this, but what you're going to see right now when you come out here as a closer is you're going to see the DPA note and mortgage. Again, you're not going to see any of these things, and you're going to see the purchase package. You're not going to see the HUD-1, although we do require that if the loan is an assisted loan, it has a HUD-1. And it has the 3-page HUD-1 with, with the comparisons and things like that, but I'll show you that in a minute. I am making changes to the package because I think this is way too choppy for me. It doesn't flow very well. But I'll show you what those changes are after I show you what you've got out there right now. So you've got the note and the mortgage, and you got a purchase package. And what the purchase package looks like is this. It has a checklist, just like the commitments I did, of everything that we're looking for to come in with this package. This HUD settlement statement now says closing disclosure instead of HUD-1 because it's a closing disclosure now. But then we've listed out everything that we're looking for to come back in the package, and also have listed, okay, you have that commitment package we just talked about. Here's what we're looking for in that commitment package. For all loans, it should have these documents. If it's a conventional loan, it should also have this document. If it's a government loan, a VA or FHA loan, it should also have this document in addition to the all loans. So it's just kind of a little checklist for you to go down to make sure that you have all of those things when you send them in for post-closing. So this is really, the reason I'm changing this is this checklist is really a post-closing checklist, and this voucher is really a post-closing voucher. And again, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but it's kind of the same concept. Make sure that you have everything that's on here, and make sure that the voucher is completed. In that anything that is already in our system is going to be populated on here, but you can change any of that may have changed between the time we committed the loan and the time that the loan closed. So if the purchase price changed, change it on here. If the loan amount changed, change it. If the second changed, change it. So just make your changes, and make sure, again, that you tell us who to contact, that you give us some contact information so we know who to come back to if we have questions. And then we come into, this is a closing document. This is for the closers to prepare. So I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this, that part of this package is post-closing and part of it is closing. So this is what I'm going to change so it's not so chopped up. But for the moment, here's what it is. So you've got the borrower closing affidavit, okay? And what the borrower closing affidavit is, it's a continuation of the borrower initial affidavit, which is in that commitment package. So that commitment package that is in the eDocs is going to be populated and completed as it was at the time that we approved it. Just leave it as it is. There's no need to make any changes to the commitment package. Leave it like it is. Let them sign it as it is. And any changes that have happened from the time that the loan closed, that we approved the loan at commitment and the loan closed, you're going to notate on this borrower closing affidavit. So you can see where you can just check here that says there have been no changes. And the borrower is going to sign that and have it notarized. You as the lender are going to make the same checkbox down here saying that nothing has changed, and you're going to sign it and date it also. If something has changed, though, you're going to check this box, and you're going to say, purchase price changed from $100,000 to $105,000. If the purchase price changes, the second mortgage changes. The second mortgage is based on the purchase price. So the second mortgage changed. So you can list in here second mortgage changed to whatever that is. I don't know what. So we're going to say $2,750. I don't know what that is, what 5% is. Borrower added middle name of Joseph, okay? So you're going to make those changes, and then you need to make sure that the documents, that the closing documents reflect those changes. So anywhere in here that it reflects a purchase price, a loan amount, the borrower name, you're going to have to make those changes and make sure that they're consistent on the closing stuff. But you can leave the commitment package as it is. This kind of serves as a catch-all to say, yep, this is what they were when they signed them, but now this is what's changed. So the commitment package can stay just as it is, and this is your document to catch those changes and make them relevant to the commitment package. And again, the box that for you as a participating lender needs to match whatever the borrower says. There's also the tax-exempt rider, okay? The tax-exempt rider is a rider to the first mortgage, not to the second mortgage. So you don't want to record it with the second. It needs to be recorded with the first. Here's where you can, if you're going to change it, if you're going to change their names, you're going to need to make any changes to it. We get a lot of lenders saying, oh, well, that's how your system showed it. Well, but you can make changes to it. So if you need to change the name, change the name. If this needs to be road instead of street, change it to road. These documents, or you can change these documents as much as you need. And there are places that, oh my gosh, there are places that if you make the change, it will change it all the way through. But on these, on the riders and the mortgages, and I'm fixing this also on the note and the mortgage, when you have somebody a spouse who's releasing dower or a spouse who's on title, then it's going to be a little bit different for how it's going to work as far as putting their names in there. That's why you don't see, because this field up here, whoops, sorry. This field up here is a field for borrower and co-borrower, whereas down here these are fields for individual borrowers, which is why it doesn't change when you change it up there. But that'll be easier to show you in the next package where I'm correcting it. So there's where you're going to get your borrower closing affidavit and your rider. And then if you come back here, to PDF docs, you're going to have your note and your mortgage for the second. And we are the lender on the note and the mortgage, which is why you're not going to have NMLS information and things like that, because we don't need to have an NMLS, so that's not going to be in here. It might be on these documents because they're just old documents, but they will not be on what's in the system. So you can see the name is what the name is in the system. If it says Jay and his name is Joseph, change his name. You need to put the date in here. You obviously need, I can't write in here for you, so you're going to have to write that yourself. You're just going to have to, please just don't come in here and print these documents and think there's nothing to be done, because there are things that need to be completed on them. You can put the county in here. Take my cap lock off. Yeah, this NMLS information will not be on there. These are just old documents that I haven't updated because they're in the test site. Again, you need to put a legal description or see attached, an attached legal description, but anything on here can be changed to be corrected. So please make sure that you change it and you make those corrections. Also, one thing we get a lot of is this prepared by section needs to include your information. So you need to put your lender name, your address. We've tried to get that taken off because it gets missed so many times. But our legal staff says that for recording purposes it needs to be on there. So you'll get hit with that as an exception if it's not on there. The package I'm going to show you that I'm working on doing will complete that for you, but until you have that, please make sure that you complete the prepared by section. Okay, so that's how it currently looks. Okay, you've got those two kind of chopped up things. So you need the borrower closing affidavit and the tax exempt rider out of the purchase package, and then you've got the promissory note and the mortgage out of the other one. plus you need to go out and get that commitment package in order to make sure that the borrower gets everything. So let me show you just a real quick preview. This is what I'm working on to make the changes to. There's a couple things I need to add, and I need to do one for every one of our products. But to me, this just makes more sense. I'm going to we get a lot of questions about this isn't in this package and it was in that package, so it's just kind of got a little cover letter saying you're doing a grants for grad loan, if that's what it is. And in a grants for grad loan package, you will have these documents. These are the documents that you should be seeing. Also, just a reminder, please go out there and pull the commitment package, just so it kind of gives you a clear guide of where to go. I've also included information for where you send your collateral, what the U.S. Bank's lost payee clause is, that kind of thing. I'll probably add in there where you send your add your fees to OFA. I'll add something like that in there. And then we've got the note. And we've got the mortgage. And we've got the closing affidavit and the tax-exempt rider. And then we also have a HUD-1 settlement statement that will be included. I've got, for TRID purposes or non-TRID or whatever you want to call it, just a little background on that. We don't fall into really any specific category for TRID purposes. So what it's come down to make a long story very short, is that it's been determined by CFPB that what we need to provide, we need to fall back on RESPA requirements. So RESPA requires that we have a GFE and we have a HUD-1. OFA provides the GFE when the loan is reserved. And I realize that that's probably not within 3 business days of the application being taken, but since the note and the mortgage are OFAs, CFPB has agreed that OFA should be able to provide the GFE. I can't at this time provide a HUD-1 for you because I don't know when your loan's closing. I don't know what your fees are. I don't know where it's closing. I don't know any of that. But we are working on that. We have discussions going on about us doing a closing package, but we're probably a ways away from there. So the HUD-1 is still a work in progress, but it's pretty much completed. So you're going to check on the HUD-1 that this is a conventional uninsured loan, because the second, regardless of what the first is, the second is a conventional uninsured. If you completed your loan, this will be our loan number on here. Will be listed as the lender. The borrower's name and the address will complete. And again, if anything changes, this document is completely editable, so you can edit anything out of here that is not correct. You'll need to provide, we don't care about the seller because it's pretty basic. The settlement agent, place of settlement, settlement date. You can put in, once you fill in the settlement charges, so all you can put on this HUD-1, nothing else but the recording fee can be on this HUD-1. We haven't disclosed anything else to the borrower. We've disclosed a $52 recording fee on the good faith estimate. Where $52 comes from is it's $28 to record the first 2 pages, and you see we have a 2-page mortgage, and it's $8 a page after that. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe you have a legal description that's really long and it's 3 pages. So that's where the $52 came from, just to kind of hope we overshoot it. The other thing I want to point out to closers is when you print the mortgage in the tax-exempt rider, or you instruct your title company to do that, if they print it on legal paper, and to print it, on legal paper, all you have to do is when you get to your print screen, there's a box that says something like print to PDF package, or print as for PDF package, or something like that, and it'll print it on legal. If you print it on legal, it is conforming. It conforms to all the requirements of the recorder's office, although since we are a state agency, we don't have to. But if you print it on legal paper, then it will conform to all the, if we don't print it on legal, if we didn't put it on legal, then our mortgage is going to be longer than 2 pages, and we're really trying to cut down on the cost of it. so that it doesn't cost more to record it. Okay, so let's say our settlement charges, our recording fee is $36. So you're going to put $36 in, and you notice it populated here. It's going to populate in every field that it should be in. We already have the good faith estimate up here. This is part of the HUD one that never gets done correctly. I won't say never. I will say probably 99% of the time it's not correct. Excuse me. So you're going to put that in here. You can put your loan amount in here. If you change the loan amount, it's going to change it everywhere, every place that it needs to change in the document. So you really only need to, once I get this out there, you really only need to make one change. If there is a tolerance adjustment because the recording fee went over 10%, which shouldn't happen a lot. If it went over 10%, something's wrong. But I'm going to have a space in here for you to add in a tolerance adjustment. And then you'll have to do the math yourself to bring it down when you come down here. I can't make it, when it's a PDF, I can't make it add things up. So you would have to do this math yourself and determine what the difference was, and figure all this stuff out. But everything else should populate for you, just to make it as simple as possible. These sections down here you're not going to be able to change because those are often not done correctly either. So we just made it so this is what it is and you can't change it. It'll change its loan amount. You do have to complete the increase, the difference here in dollar amount and percentage. That needs to be completed also in order to make it accurate. And then there's a signature page. So again, if you've changed their names, it should actually, if you change the name on the front, it should change the name down here and vice versa. So we'll see if it does that. And if it doesn't, I will fix that. But yeah, see, it changes it up here. So once you make a change in one place, it should change it everywhere. I've also included 4 pages of instructions, just in case you don't remember. There's going to be 4 pages of instructions on there. I think we're going to add another document in here too that says that have the borrower sign if they're not getting mortgage tax credit, just because we've had issues with borrowers saying they were supposed to, and for whatever reason we were not made aware that they were getting a mortgage tax credit, and then come time to file their taxes, they're all up in arms. And if we don't approve that prior to them closing, there's nothing we can do to give it to them. And that's a huge thing for a borrower to miss out on. So I think we're going to add a disclosure there. But that's what the closing package is going to look like when I have the opportunity to complete it. But hopefully you'll be seeing that in the next couple of months. Okay, so we're getting close to time here, so just let me real quick show you what else is in here. If you want to run reports, all kinds of reports. If you want to run a report that shows what all of your outstanding conditions are with us, you can pull, there's HFA conditions, master servicer conditions, commitment expirations. And if you look on the bulletin board, when we were less busy than we are right now, we were doing these did you know sessions on how to do different things in Lender Online, and there is a did you know out there, something, did you know how to pull reports, and it's a PDF on how to pull reports out of the system. So it's a real good thing to reference. User accounts, if you are an admin. If you're not an admin, you can modify your own personal information or change your password. If you are an admin, you come in and you your contacts, and you're going to see there's different, you're probably going to just see who's in your organization. Obviously, I can see everybody's, but you can add someone new, you can edit their information, or you can delete somebody, and it's very simple to do. I mean, if you're going to edit somebody, you can see that the information is, there's not a whole lot to it. It's very basic. But if you have any questions about that, if you are an admin, if you go to help and you want to determine how you're going to, what kind of access you're going to give someone, You go to help and managing account and user access level, and it tells you the different accesses that people have that you can give them and what they mean and what they'll be able to do with those accesses. I talked about the bulletin board. Here's a bulletin board. Obviously, this one isn't up to date because it's a test website, but our rate sheet will be out here. Our turn times, it'll tell you what we're working on that day. Different bulletins that we put out there. Here's the Did You Know How to Pull Reports? Different bulletins that announcements that we've made or that U.S. Bank has made will be out here. Under program documents, you'll be able to see term sheets, any kind of things that have changed within the program will be out here. Servicer docs, whatever. If U.S. Bank has sent any bulletins, they'll be out here in the servicer docs. They'll probably be on the bulletin board for a while also. We have marketing materials. If your loan officers want to market the programs, these are pretty awesome. You can fill them in. They can fill them in. They're really nice flyers that they can make. We'd be happy to make some for them and send them to them. If they want to co-brand and put your logos on there, we'll do that for them too. And that's pretty much it. Let me see. I know we're getting close here on time, so let me go over and do the question and answers. Okay, we talked about the loan amount changes. Will U.S. Bank accept changes like that? I'm not sure what. Let me see if Kim's still on the phone. Let's see if I can get her, unmute her.
Back and ask for you to explain again if they don't
Kim,
like
are you there? Kim? Okay, she must be doing something else. I'll have to email her. I don't know what that meant. I thought the MLO was the one to reserve. Again, whoever you guys decide is going to reserve. Says U.S. Bank recently penalized for an award loaner having the wrong amount. Okay, this is an issue that I've talked about with U.S. Bank over and over again, and we'll continue to talk about. And I'm going to also add what Kim's talking about is when on an FHA loan with the commitment letter, you're also going to get an award or gift letter that FHA requires to be in their package, and it's going to be for the amount that we approve it, what we approve it with. If that changes, then you don't have a new commitment or award letter because we don't know that it changed until we get your closing package in. So U.S. Bank will accept, and if you get flack from them, let me know because I've discussed this with them over and over again. The borrower closing affidavit noting that change in the loan amount. So again, what I'm talking about is the award letter that comes with a government loan. It's really only needed for FHA, but I don't have any way in my system to notate that the difference between government loans. So you're also going to get it if you have a VA loan or if you have a USDA loan, but it's really only needed for FHA. And the award letter is going to show the amount that we approved at the time of commitment. So if that loan amount changes, the awards letter is not going to change unless you cross it out, have the borrower initial it, and all that. That's another document that I'm going to put into the closing package so that if the loan amount changes, the awards letter can change. You can make the change to the awards letter, and you can get the borrower to sign that. But in the meantime, just make the change on the borrower closing affidavit, and U.S. Bank will accept that. If you have any issues with them doing that, just contact me, and I'll get in touch with them. And again, that really goes for anything. If you guys have issues with U.S. Bank post-closing, and you're just not getting anywhere, and they're telling you something that's contrary to what I'm telling you, then just contact me, and I'll help you work through that and get that taken care of with them. Okay, should the loan consultant or the processor be the one making the reservation? Again, that's up to you as the lender how you want to do it. Where did you just go to get the borrower to sign the commitment, the prepared package? The commitment package, again, is in eDocs. So if you go to loan status and you pull up your loan, and you go to eDocs, and that's where you upload everything. That's where you're going to upload everything to get approval for commitment. Once we approve the loan, it will be available in eDocs. And remember, it will start with an asterisk, and it will end with to be signed at closing, just to kind of try to make it stand out a little bit. That's where you're going to go to get your commitment package. And again, you'll see that on my cover letter when I get those docs changed. Do we still need to add the lender and loan officer name and NMLS numbers to the note and mortgage? You do not need to do that. It is not necessary that they be on the second note and mortgage because we're the lender on the note and mortgage, not you. So there's no reason for there to be an NMLS number for either the lender or the loan officer on the note and the mortgage because it's OFA's loan and we aren't required to have an NMLS number, which is why they came off of those documents. So it's a good question, but no, you do not need them. What are your fees we need to initially disclose? Do you have a worksheet regarding these? I do. I will send you guys with somebody asked what are the fees that we initially need to disclose. And I went over that in our product call yesterday that I had with sales or whoever was on that. But I'll tell you what I will do. I'm going to send you guys, whoever's on this call, a PowerPoint. And I will also send you a list of the fees, too, so you have that. Let me see. What's the next? Talking. Can you go over the bond fees on the closing disclosures? Yes, I can. On the the fees that are going on the closing disclosure, we're really just verifying that. And you know what? Let me just go ahead and pull that up since you're the second person that's asked that question. We're going to look at what you have. Let me think about where those are. We're only going to, when we're looking at the closing disclosure, we're going to look at the fees that you've disclosed for us and for U.S. Bank. What you disclose for yourself, all about you, whatever you want to do. I don't care. The only thing I'm concerned about is that our fees are not over-disclosed. So this is what the fees are. If you have a first-time home buyer and next home loan, you're going to have a 0.5% origination fee, which is payable to you, the lender. That's part of your compensation. So if you don't charge that, you don't charge it. That's just compensation you don't get. Really, basically the same thing with all these fees. U.S. Bank has a $400 funding fee and an $85 tax service fee, and OFA has a $100 admin fee payable to us. Where you disclose that, some lenders disclose that in the origination cost under the Section A of the closing costs, and some disclose it under Section B. So I think you probably have to make that determination, excuse me, with your compliance department to see where's the best place to charge it. We really try to fish around a lot to see what it is that you're charging. So, you know, there are times maybe that a lender charges an admin fee of their own, and maybe they lump it all together. So we see admin fee on there of $500. So we're going to question that. I'm going to ask you for a breakdown of that. What is this? Because if it's $500 for us, you're not charging $500 for us. You're going to refund the borrower $400. I hope that answers your question. And you know what, Stacy? I'm going to see if you're on. That was Stacy Clark. I'm going to see if you're on, and I can unmute you and see if that does answer your question. Hi, Stacy. Are you on?
Hi, Erin. Can you hear me?
Can. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I just want to make sure that the closers are aware of it and that everybody's on the same page regarding that. Because as before, we would have to get those corrected after consummation. So I want to see if we could try to get that done before it even closes.
Yeah, and if you guys don't charge these fees, you're still going to, U.S. Bank is going to net their fees when they purchase a loan, and you're going to send us $100 before we, or the $250
right.
MTC, you're going to send it to us before we're going to approve it. So you're going to get it one way or the other. I understand that they need to be at the time of application. So if that doesn't happen, and it's not going to make it on the CD. But really, we should just be looking for that you're not overcharging our fees. So if there's any
Okay.
confusion as far on that end is what we're asking for, you know, sometimes people get confused when they're reviewing it too, and I'm not going to say that that's not going to happen. Just let me know if there's an issue. Okay,
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all right. Let me see. Clarify, I have a post-closing doc that, I'm sorry, scroll too fast. I have a post-closing doc that was sent with the purchase package. I uploaded the e-doc but not submit. How do I know if it has been received? Okay, Maggie, that was from you. So you have a post-closing document that was sent with the purchase package. I uploaded to e-docs but did not submit. How do I know if it's been reviewed? That's a very good question. If you on, excuse me, sorry, let me move these things. On your loan status, let me go back here. So you'll know it's been reviewed, number one. Hopefully you put lender, and Maggie's question is, how does she know if her loan's been reviewed? Hopefully there's contact information on there, on the purchase voucher, so we know to contact you to say that we reviewed it. But if there's not, you can look here and see what stage it's in. So this is in a purchase receive stage, which means we have received the purchase package. And we don't put the statuses in all of the stages because a lot of lenders, this would say purchase received approved, and the lenders would think that that meant that the purchase was approved. What's approved is the fact that we received purchase. But you can look here to see just a quick glance stage it's in. If you go to view, you can kind of see the history of what the stages and the statuses were. So if you haven't heard anything, then it's probably not been reviewed. Or if you look back here and it doesn't say that it's been reviewed, it would switch to a purchase review status here, or stage here, I'm sorry. And it would tell you what the status was. It would say purchase reviewed and pending, or purchase reviewed approved, or whatever. But again, if you see what our turn times are and you know you submitted that loan prior to the day that we're working on, you should probably contact us. You can always go into e-docs also and look and see whether that loan, whether you actually did submit that or not. Excuse me. And if you forgot to hit the submit button, just contact me and we'll try to get it back in line where it should have been. But we do try to communicate with you and let you know if you put we will communicate with you if you tell us who to contact. Any requirements for homeowners insurance? We don't have any requirements for homeowners insurance. The loss payee clause, if you're looking for who the loss payee clause is, actually, I take that back. Yes, it needs to be insured, but just for whatever the normal amount is, whatever the loan amount is. But if you're looking for a loss payee clause, just let me know, and I can either use your own, or you can use U.S. Bank. Can they be total as one fee, as a bond fee? And that's from Margaret. It can. Oh, not sent with, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to Maggie's question. You did not send it with the purchase package. You'll know if it was reviewed or not. So you're saying that you sent it as an additional doc, but you didn't hit submit. We should go out there and find it, be able to find it. If it's something, you'll know we didn't find it if we condition you for something that you sent. But we should be able to find it if you go out there. And what Maggie's talking about is she submitted. And you know what, let me just take you off of, I'm trying to read your mind. Let me see if I can take you off of mute. No, you didn't use the audio pin. Okay, so I think what Maggie's trying to say is she submitted an original package, then she submitted a doc after that, but didn't hit submit. And you'll know it's reviewed, Maggie, because we'll either condition you for what you sent or we won't. But we should get that document. We should find that document. The reviewers know how to go out and look for that stuff. So if there's an issue with that, let me know. Okay, so Margaret's question was, can you lump everything together? We'd prefer that you don't, because we're probably going to question what that is. And I think I looked at one of yours yesterday, and we went with it because it wasn't over the total amount. But it's not all coming to us. It's not Some of it's going to U.S. Bank and some of it's going to OFA, so we'd really prefer to see it broken out by at least who it goes to. Is there a fee for the home buyer training? I may have missed that yesterday, and that's from Linda Collins. There is no fee for the home buyer education. There's no fee. The only fee that OFA gets is the $100 admin fee, but the home buyer education, the buyer does not pay for that. Okay. That's all I have for questions. Thank you very much for your time today. I know we went a little bit over. It looks like we've lost some people, but they probably are post-closing. If you guys, I will send I'll send the the PowerPoint out. I'll send you some additional stuff. I'll send you the fee sheet. I'll send you some contact information for us, and there's also contact information in the PowerPoint. But really, thank you so much for taking your time. I know that hopefully these are things that will make it go a little bit faster on the end and not be so confusing. But if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to call me, email me. I'm here most of the time. So once again, thank you everybody for your time and your attention. If you need anything, give me a call. Thanks. Have a good day.